Greetings Barcadian, thanks for joining us for our 10 o'clock news bulletin, bringing you our key takeaways from E3 2019 so far. After a relatively tame E3 so far, especially following the uneventful offerings made by Bethesda and the PC Gaming Conference, it seems Ubisoft and Square Enix have swooped in to save the day. Roll the titles. One of the biggest headlines was Ubisoft's Watch Dogs Legion, slated for release in March 2020. It looks like a post-Brexit London has received the Cyberpunk 2077 treatment, depicting a futuristic open-world dystopia. But so far without the devilishly handsome Keanu Reeves. The cleverest thing about the game appears to be the narrative system, which allows you to take control of and recruit any character in the game, who then becomes the lead protagonist. At least until they pop their clogs and you move on to the next one. Amazingly, each character comes complete with a unique backstory and lifestyle to ingratiate with. The player therefore becomes a sort of collective avatar and body-snatching defender for justice. Talk about metaphors. Hideo Kojima would be pleased with the connectivity on offer here. In other news, we finally got to see something of the much anticipated Avengers game from Crystal Dynamics. Let's fly over to our roaming reporter Tabz Fantana for more information. Are you there, Tabz?
I'm here, Richard, and in my car to be precise, and feeling relieved that this year's E3 isn't a total write-off, unlike my Nissan Micra. So the Avengers trailer was pretty spectacular. Vivid, exciting and action-packed, which isn't a bad description for Square's conference on the whole actually. Word on the ground so far suggests that the game has a cooperative component and may take the form of a game as a service, with periodic content drops to continually offer the player base new missions and adventures. Imagine the MCU meets Destiny and Anthem, but given the long run up to this one, hopefully Crystal Dynamics can succeed where Bungie and EA failed. Expect to pick this one up in May next year. Back to you, Richard.
Next up, a new and refreshing IP from Ubisoft, titled Gods and Monsters. Think Greek mythology combined with Zelda-esque presentation and open world adventuring. Due for release in February next year, and it's coming to the Switch. Square also gave us a juicy playthrough of the upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake, which certainly looks the part and introduces a more dynamic battle system in line with the likes of Final Fantasy XV and Kingdom Hearts. Interestingly, the game is apparently set to be delivered in multiple releases, forming an episodic series of separate editions, and it'll be interesting to see how that works. It also appears to be the year of insanely expensive collector's editions, and Final Fantasy VII appears to top the bevy on show so far, with an eye-watering package priced at £260. Though it does contain a ridiculously good-looking figure of Cloud and a motorcycle. Nice. Just bear with me while I go and order that. That's that done. Square are also doubling down on the recent dump of legacy content after stumbling upon the reportedly lost source code of Final Fantasy VIII somewhere in their dusty archives. Expect the remaster to release later this year. Tabz, are you there? I know you're a big fan of this one, aren't you? Anything to add?
Hi Richard, that's exactly right. It's perhaps my favourite in the series and I can't wait to pick this one up on my Switch for a remastered stroll down memory lane. I'm just hoping they include the fast forward feature that was recently added to the Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age to help speed along those pesky random battles. And while I've got you Richard, I'd also like to share a bit about AMD's recent conference for all the tech nerds out there like me. For those of us who spend more on their PCs than they do on their cars. AMD have seemingly announced all-out war on Intel by unveiling their third generation of Ryzen CPUs, which are worthy contenders for Intel's 9th gen chips in terms of performance, but in some cases cost less than half the price. And after a statement of intent which basically hammered home the fact they're providing custom GPUs for Sony, Google and Microsoft's next gen offerings, with Scarlett's interestingly positioned as the most collaboratively developed of the three, AMD's Lisa Su unveiled more details on their Navi series of GPUs across the board, with unique features such as anti-lag technology and their new RDNA architecture, which appears to be part of their hardware solution for delivering ray tracing functionality to compete with Nvidia's RTX offerings. Very exciting times. So it's all a bit complicated, but ultimately, fierce competition like this keeps things cheap for consumers and the industry moving forwards. So hurrah for gamers everywhere. Now I must go and fill up this car. Unfortunately, it doesn't run on hype and excitement for Nintendo's conference coming soon. Back to you, Richard, to see us out on part 2.
Thanks, Tabz. He seems to have taken the roving reporting a little too seriously by literally driving from one lay-by to the next between pieces. Dedication, I guess. Finally, today we have Outriders from People Can Fly. You'll know these guys from Bulletstorm and Gears of War Judgment fame. It appears to be a shooter set in a dark and desperate sci-fi world. Not much has been shown here, but expect solo and also up to 3-player co-op. It also appears to have a large dev team on it, so I'm expecting good things here. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. Oh, hang on. I'm just hearing in my ear that Nintendo have attempted to blow the proverbial socks off gamers with their E3 showing. We'll have more on that tomorrow. From Tabz Fantana and me, Richard Burgundy, you stay gaming, Barcadians. Stamped and completed.